Yes, I just wanted to remind people about that. When we talk about mental illness, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about a physical illness in the physical brain. It's a physical illness. The fact that it occurs in the brain makes people say mental illness, and therefore they're afraid of it, they're terrified of it, they think it's something from outer space, or that it has to be demonic or anything like that. It's just an ordinary physical illness that happens to affect the brain instead of another part of the body. And it causes manifestations that are distinct from most physical pain, most physical illnesses, but it's still a physical illness in the physical brain. It is not an illness of the soul, and it's not an illness of an abstract mind. It's a physical illness in the brain, and it can be treated that way. And when we start telling people, over-spiritualizing, and of course every illness that we have has both a spiritual dimension and a physical dimension because we're a psychophysical being. Only a Gnostic makes a radical dualism between mind and body, soul and body. We're a psychophysical being. There's a spiritual, physical dimension to all illnesses. But when we take, say, a mental illness like this and discourage people from seeking appropriate medical treatment, we could be killing them. If a person goes to a priest or one of these magic elders that we have roaming around and asks them, well, I have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, and he said, well, oh heavens, don't go to a psychiatrist, they're all demonic and atheist, just say your prayers. If the person then commits suicide, the priest or the elder is directly, immediately, personally responsible for the death of that person. The priest or elder that tells them that is a murderer. Pure and simple. He's caused their death. And it was unnecessary. Because when a bipolar person takes proper medical treatment from a good doctor, they can live a productive, useful, and even happy life. But when they don't seek treatment, it gets worse and worse and worse, until finally killing themselves is the only thing left. And too many people have been murdered by priests and elders who prevented them from seeking proper medical and psychiatric treatment. And I'm saying that very sternly and with absolute conviction. And the same thing happens when we talk to people about certain sexual matters as well and drive them to suicide. The person becomes a murderer, even if it's accidental homicide, wrongful death, by whatever means. If anybody's ever come to you as a priest, if any priest are watching this, or an elder, and you've deprived them of going to a psychiatrist about a psychiatric disorder and they've committed suicide, you should be confessing and repenting for having caused that death yourself, because you are personally guilty for the death of that person. Now, we're going to go on to what the 3rd, 9th, and 40th day services actually mean. And I think you'll find some of these cuckoos who think that psychiatrists are all demonic and don't want you to go for psychiatric treatment. I think you'll find they're the primary sources and supporters of this aerial toll house business. First of all, the idea that the memorial services are served because the soul's wandering around someplace. Hear what St. John Chrysostom says to that. Nor indeed is it possible for a soul once separated from the body to wander here any more. For the souls of the righteous are in the hands of God, and the souls also of sinners are straightway led away hence. And it cannot be that a soul, when it has gone out of the body, can wander here. Remember that. We'll talk a little bit later about what the benefits of the prayers for the departed are, and we'll show you that they're quite valuable. Now, what does it say in the constitutions of the 12 apostles, which is an official document of the Orthodox Church and has great authority for us? It says, let the 3rd day of the departed be celebrated with psalms and lessons and prayers, because of him who rose within the space of 3 days the third day resurrection of Christ. And let the ninth day be celebrated in remembrance of the living, to comfort the living because of the departed one. And for the departed, and the 40th day, according to the ancient pattern, for so did the people lament Moses, and the anniversary day in memory of him. And let alms be given to the poor out of his goods as a memorial for him. So you see, the 40th day, not a Christian or Hebrew origin. Moses, they lamented 40 days after the pattern of the Egyptians because of the days it took for embalming, as we saw in the case of Joseph. So this is the constitutions of the 12 apostles. Now, the greatest liturgical authority we have in the church, St. Simeon of Thessaloniki, says, "The Koliba is offered because man is also a seed, and like a fruit from the earth, and like a seed sown in the earth, he will be raised up again by God's might. The third day service is celebrated for the reason that the reposed one received his being through the Holy Trinity, and having passed through the state of good being, and being changed, he shall, at the resurrection, appear in the original state, or one superior. The Anatta, the ninth day, is celebrated because his soul abides together with the holy spirits of the angels, being immaterial and naturally similar to them. For these spirits are of 9 orders in number, and by them, the orders, they triply proclaim and praise God in Trinity, and so that he may be united with these holy spirits of the saints. The Tesseracosta, the 40th day, is celebrated because of the Savior's ascension, which came to pass as many days after his resurrection." St. Mark of Ephesus, one of the great pillars of the church, says, "But if, as we said, no one has entered either the kingdom or Gehenna, how is it that we hear concerning the rich man and Lazarus that the former was in fire and torment and spoke with Abraham? But the Lord said everything about Lazarus in the manner of a parable, even as he spoke of the 10 virgins and of the rest of the parables. The parable of Lazarus does not come to pass in actuality, because the sinners in Gehenna shall not see the righteous who are with Abraham in the kingdom, nor will any of them know his neighbor in that darkness. Accepting this opinion, our church thus is minded and preaches, and she is most ready and well prepared to defend it. Firstly, the Lord in the Gospel according to Matthew describes beforehand the judgment to come, saying, 'Come, ye blessed of my Father, and inherit,' whereby it is evident that they have not yet inherited the kingdom prepared for them. Prepared, he says, not already given. But to the sinners, he says, 'Depart, ye cursed.' Evidently they have not yet departed into everlasting fire, prepared not for you, but for the devil and his angels. Here again he says prepared, since that fire has not yet received the condemned demons. Prepared, not given. So let's rethink this. The other example that's given amongst the Holy Fathers, we could track all of them down, that we serve the third day because Christ rose again on the third day, guaranteeing us the resurrection of the body. On the ninth day, because, of course, neither being in heaven nor hell, the souls are kept with the 9 orders of angels. And the 40th day, because Christ ascended body and soul together, teaching us that we would likewise ascend body and soul together. So these are the actual, concrete, genuine teachings of the Orthodox Church. Put aside all these phony mythologies about wandering souls and that sort of thing.